As Lily walked through the streets of frozen Alps on the first day off she had since she started her trading, she kept an eye out for some sort of trading post. Lupina had given her a few deer pelts the day prior to sell since Lily was pretty much broke. She explained that people from other areas would sometimes travel to Mount Shivering to buy local objects such as spices, plants, animals, and other sort of native stuff. For Lily, this meant that hunting would double as a way to obtain food and money. Although Lily wasn't fully sure where she could find someone to sell to, nor if anyone actually would buy stuff in frozen Alps, after a bit of searching, she arrived at the center of the town where the bonfire was. There, she saw an Inuit sitting by the fire. Lily wasn't entirely sure what this man was doing, as he appeared to be either failing at roasting marshmallows or burning marshmallows for fun. She then walked over to the man, only to hear him yell as the marshmallow once again fell into the fire. "You all right?" Lily said, which made the man jump from the surprise as someone talking to him. "I'd like to say yes, but these things are about as hard to roast as shard of ice. My kids always make fun of me for failing at this task, but I have to say, I'd rather keep my job in construction than take up a job in cooking," the man said, chuckling after he finished his words. "The only thing I can suggest is try not putting them as far into the fire as you are." "But then it only cooks on one side because of the difference in temperatures," the man responded, sounding defeated. Lily kinda just stood there, feeling awkward. "Oh, sorry, ma'am. I should have introduced myself earlier. My name's Robin," the man said, offering out his hand to Lily for a handshake. "Lily," she said, grabbing the man's hand to shake. She then had the thought that this man probably knows the whereabouts of a traitor, or if there is one. Robin, do you know if there's anywhere I can sell deer pelts?" Robin thought for a second, before his face lit up like he had an epiphany. "If you want to sell to someone worthwhile, I believe Florence is in town. If you just head southeast, you should be able to find her cart. How she gets a cart up here is beyond all of us. Just when you get there, tell her I sent you." "Why should I tell her that?" "She'll probably give you a discount. I shop at her place all the time since I need to for my job. Though I will say she is difficult to handle." "Alright then, I'll leave you to your roasting," Lily said, waving as she walked off. Robin waved back, then started to put another marshmallow onto his roasting stick. It didn't take Lily all too long to find what she was looking for, as just on the edge of town was a cart that stood out. Inside the cart were large wooden crates and barrels, with a few small metal crates as well. The outside had an awning that covered shelves and a table filled with stuff, though it looked like there was no pattern to what this cart held, as its wares ranged from animal pelts to odd contraptions to crystals and minerals. Standing at the table was a short woman with large, fluffy, pointed ears. She had hair that fell to her shoulders that was a light brown in color and was wearing a rather thin, long-sleeved shirt for being out in the freezing temperatures of Mount Shivering. When she saw Lily approach, she turned and smiled at her. "Good day, ma'am. Is there something I can perhaps sell to you today, or are you perhaps just wanting to browse what I have?" the woman, who Lily presumed to be Florence, asked happily. "Hello. I was told by a man named Robin that this was a good place to sell deer pelts." Upon hearing the name Robin, Florence's entire demeanor changed. It was as if a switch was flipped from a happy saleswoman to an angry customer. "I see. So that man sent you." "So what happened? Did Robin divorce poor old Hazel for someone like you? Or is he perhaps having an affair?" Florence said, though, despite the harshness of her words, they carried no malice. The whiplash caused by a shift in personality left Lily speechless and stunned. Florence saw this and laughed. "Never mind, he sent you as entertainment. Surprised to see that a businesswoman can act and get people to buy stuff." "What is going on?" Lily said, quickly and sort of panicked. "Name's Florence, and if I had to guess, you're being pranked by someone you thought you could trust. You should see the look on your face. It is priceless. Anyways, I assume you came actually needing something, so tell me what you want," Florence said, speaking faster the more happy she was. "You are sort of mean. Only to certain people. To regular customers, I'm a little nicer to go as they're into buying stuff from me. Though, to regulars and their friends, I won't hide anything. What is a business partnership if there is no trust?" That made sense to Lily, but Florence was starting to get to her, so she decided to bring up why she was there so she could get away just as quickly. "Anyways, I was told that if I were to sell pelts, here would be the place. Hearing this, Florence's eyes practically lit up. Pelts, you say? I'm starting to run out of those, so your timing's perfect. The ones who usually bring me fauna goods have told me that they cannot hunt in their typical regions because some animals went feral. I would bet 5 gold that they're just being lazy asses because hunting animals is literally in their job description. Then, when I asked them why they couldn't just move to a different hunting area, they started whining like toddlers that hunting in the Ice Witch's territory is a death wish. Anyways, I guess I ranted a bit, but what pelts you got for me? Lily, sort of put off by Florence, took out the 5 deer pelts she had and handed them over to Florence. Florence then started to look them over, inspecting every inch of it before looking back up at Lily. I'd say that pelts of this quality would go for 15 gold each. And that is being generous, she said as if stating a fact. I'll take that deal, Lily said, happy for any sort of money. Florence then walked over to the back of her cart and placed the pelts there. Then, after about a minute, she came back and handed a bag filled with gold to Lily. Here you go, miss. If you so desire, you can count the coins here and now to ensure you got the correct amount. After all, what is business without a little trust? Anything else you want while you're here? I deal in many things such as food, clothes, magic items, mechanic items, transportation, and information. Such is the way of a wandering merchant. Upon hearing that she could buy information, Lily's ears perked up, and since her fox ears were on the top of her head, Florence could visibly see it. How much would information cost? It depends on what you want, but judging by your obvious movements, you really want information on something, don't you? Florence said, smiling smugly. You are right. I was wondering if you had information on a few friends of mine. Their names are Glitchy Rose, Phantom Cat, Iona, Erica, and Ashley Orion. I don't know what most of them look like for reasons, but I assume that Phantom Cat looks like a weird black and green cloud of smoke, around the size of a human and has a few dragon-like features to it. That really is all I know. Florence nodded after hearing what Lily wanted. Since you have very little on most of them, it would be rather costly, although I'm willing to strike a different sort of deal if you're desperate for this information. Florence stopped to gauge Lily's anticipation, and it was clear that Lily wanted to hear more. If you can clear up whatever is stopping those lazy-ass hunters from doing their job in the woods, I'll tell you this information for free. I mean, I also want to know your reasons for not knowing what they look like, but I'll save that lecture for after you clean up their problem. Sound like a deal? Lily thought about the deal for a few moments, before realizing that it really was a win for both parties. She learns the whereabouts of her friends to warn them of the Violent Cleric, and Florence gets stock to sell. Alright, I'll take your deal. If you could just point to where the animal resides, that would be great. Florence smiles and points out the location. Then Lily smiled and started to walk in the pointed out direction. Thanks, I'll have it done for you soon. After she left town, Lily walked for a good while through the dense forest before she stumbled onto a scene that horrified Lily and left her a bit sick to her stomach. There was blood everywhere, and the remains of animals disfigured beyond any sense of recognition. It looked as if a large feral monster had come through and tore through every living creature here. She finally understood why those hunters had ran away without looking back. Looking around the scene, she expected to find nothing that would help her identify where the creature had gone since she was still rather bad at tracking. Yet she managed to find large wolf-like footprints in the snow. Each footprint was large enough for Lily to stand in, so Lily assumed that this beast must have been rather large. She contemplated turning around and calling it quits, but she knew that getting this information might save herself and the others, so turning around was not an option. So she started to follow the tracks, and it only took a few minutes before she started to hear a low growl. Looking towards the source of the sound, she didn't see anything at first. After looking for a few moments, she finally saw the source of her growl, but it was already too late. The large creature had lunged at Lily, but she managed to dodge just in time. The creature landed on the snow behind Lily and skidded to a stop as its weight made a perfect stop difficult. Lily, now getting a good look at this creature, saw a large wolf-like animal that was at least 3 times the size of a regular wolf. The wolf was primarily white with a small tint of light blue within its fur, but its legs were a grayish dark blue. The one thing that differentiated this animal from the other wolves, other than its size, was the 2 large and imposing horns on its head. These horns came out of the wolf's head from just behind the ear, and were rather wide in diameter. The horns came forward and curved upwards, branching off upwards a quarter of the way up from the base of its horns. The other thing that Lily noticed about this animal was the blood dripping from its claws and mouth, as well as the crazed look in its eyes. Lily knew it was safe to say that this was the animal causing all the problems for the hunters, so she pulled out the radiant kiss and turned the blade on and faced the wolf head on.